Hey all, welcome to Geek Freaks. I am Frank, and I'm joined with Squeaks.
Squeaks.
Joined with, I should have said joined by. So we have the Gathered Gamers event going on this month. We're really excited about that. We did hold off on our Friday episode, which was the Industry Inside for Ubisoft. We're postponing that to later in the month. It'll be fun. Had a lot of time, or had a lot of fun researching that. The reason it was postponed, obviously, is because of all the situation in America right now. We have protests after the George Floyd murder, and so I think it's best we talk about that for a little bit there. Squeaks, what do you think?
For sure. I think we should shine some light into this. Um,
Yeah.
and kind of, it is tough for sure, and it's tough to talk about as well. And it's unfortunate that we run into these things multiple times here. Um, and who knows what it really is, an abuse of power or whatever it might be. But the more light we shine to this, the more then we can bring attention to all these matters and hopefully help fix the future.
You're so right. We do need to shine a light on it more. Thank God we have cameras now because we're starting to see something we wouldn't see before.
Sure.
Um, that brings up a good point about our social media. So, a part of this whole gathered gamers thing we're doing is we're going to be running polls online and really doing a lot of social engagement. But then, after everything that's been going on with Black Lives Matter, we decided, you know what? Let's cool it on social media. I think it's less important to be comparing Batman versus Captain America than it is to see uh, injustices happening in America. So we're going to hold off on a lot of our social media posts. We'll still post the articles because that's how we do our notes for the podcast. So you'll still see some articles coming from us. You'll see some supportive tweets of Black Lives Matter. We put out an article that I must say I did a very good job writing
You did. You did.
about. That was one of those where after I was done, I was like, yep. This one was. I ended with a Stan Lee quote. I nailed it. So we're just gonna hold off on social media for a while. We'll still be there, and if anybody wants to, I totally encourage DMing us on Twitter, especially. That's our most active social media account. DM us on Twitter if you guys think that there's something. If you want to just talk, I've already been actually discussing with some other people who have better insight into the situation than I do on how's the best way to discuss this. You and I were both, white dudes. Like we don't, luckily we don't have to deal with this on a personal level every day. Um, but it's time for us to be educated. You know what I'm saying? We have to learn more, and that's what I've been trying to do on Twitter. I've been DMing with a lot of people. D from FTO Nerd Talk. You guys follow him. He does a hell of a good job. He's been on our show. Um, I've talked to him, and it's been pretty interesting conversation. Yeah. So let's go over this. The protest, totally supportive. The one in Philadelphia this weekend was beautiful.
Mhm.
Wonderful job, guys. We've had them in every city I can think of. I've had friends going to them. Actually, we've had people from the podcast. I won't name names. They're actually at the protest right now. Stay healthy, stay safe, stay focused, guys. Um, yeah, because what happened to George Floyd was obviously wrong. And what's sad is that one was put on camera. There's many that are not. Uh, this happens every day in some form or another. And just because we got this one on camera doesn't mean that that's oh, we got him, guys. That's not how it works. Um, the protests are important. They are a message, and part of that message, when somebody's protesting, that means that they feel like they're not being heard. So it's important that everybody's listening right now and trying to hear the story and educate themselves on the situation and seeing how they can help. One thing that I think we could both agree that doesn't help is a lot of the damage to property. We're seeing these rioters that are attacking these small businesses, and that's such a shame because some of these small businesses are already having a hard time after COVID. During COVID, I'm not even we're in it right now.
Yeah.
Um, multiple apocalypses this year. So, when you guys are out there, protesting is so important, and it's such a good thing to do. But and this is just my opinion and everything like that. But if you're destroying these businesses, especially the small ones, you're giving ammo to what you would consider the other side and making it to where like they could just dismiss you because they're out there being violent. And they're hungry to do that. That's one thing that I think we talked about in the past is the news is wanting to only show the violence because that's what gets the ad sales. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think for sure, like, I think, as individuals, we need to step back and see what we could do for our community instead of destroying where we're from. Let's make where
Yeah.
we're from a better place and a stronger place to get out of these social issues that we run into.
Hmm.
This rioting and looting is not doing that. You're destroying everything that where you're from. Or in some
Right.
cases, your people are destroying things in your community, and they don't even live there. They live like 2 hours out or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, which is that's bizarre to me as well. But we can't destroy what we have, or we just won't have anything at all. Super unfortunate of what happened, but this is not the way to do about it. This peaceful protest and being heard all around the world now is,
It's beautiful. Yeah.
yeah, it's insane to me right now. Who would have ever thought? This is crazy, especially with these billion-dollar companies are saying their messages too on social media and whatnot, and that's how this is gonna create this the bigger picture.
You're
And
right.
let's get rid of like yeah, like what you're talking about. The news is just showing all this violence and rioting and whatnot. Let's not the let's get rid of that shit and then go in a more positive way and get our message out.
Yeah. You're exactly right. And the peaceful protests, and you're right, with the big companies getting involved, and we implore all the big companies as much as you guys can to get involved. Uh, that shows even Blizzard, one of our big favorite companies here, they put out this really nice thing. They were going to announce something on June 9th. All the video we originally were going to plan talk about PlayStation announcements. All those things got postponed as they should be, because like we were saying before, social media right now needs to be doing the best of social media right now and actually showing where they can be helpful, instead of just like, oh hey, this is The Last of Us Part Two. Um, so yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, getting the, you know what? Let's talk about Killer Mike, because man, he said it better than either of us are saying it.
Oh man, yeah,
Uh,
he did.
you kind of want to summarize his message?
Basically, like what he was saying, like he has family members that are in the police force, and it sucks when one of them tarnishes. Because it's like what we put this narrative, like, oh, if you're this, then you must be this or this, like, oh, because you wear the badge means all cops are bad, and not necessarily. So he's putting a point that he has family members in the police force, and they're all not all like that individual
Mm-hmm.
in Minneapolis. He also said, pretty much tarnished news that are only wanting to spread that violence as well, like we brought up earlier.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Like forget them, screw them. We have to. It's kind of what I was saying. Step back and build our community instead of destroying it. This is our
Yeah.
home, so let's not do that. Um, yeah, and I mean, that's a smart guy. That's a smart dude.
He Killer Mike is amazing, dude.
He is.
Every time he speaks, it's like he's a rapper, but he's a philosopher. I mean,
Oh yeah,
sometimes the things he says, I'm just like, shit, man, I didn't even think about that. And he went out there to go give support to Ti, I think it was,
yeah.
and then he's like, I need to get my word out there, because he was trying to save Atlanta from being hit by the rioting, and he, I would honestly say it was his speech that saved Atlanta from the rioting,
Hmm.
and what he said was like so inspirational, and it was just like, lead by example, you know what I'm saying? And it was just like, he talks about how Atlanta's like this beacon, and I mean, it is. You're seeing Hollywood jobs move to Atlanta because it's this place where they're just doing everything right. So props to Killer Mike. Guys, follow him on social media. The guy is freaking awesome.
Yeah, he is.
Uh, okay. How you can help? So there's, like we said, we have friends right now that are protesting. If you can protest, good on you. If you can't protest, there are plenty of places to donate. Me personally, my two places I've donated, and I really like their causes, is you got your local Black Lives Matter chapter. See what they're doing and how you can help. The Sacramento one's been active in peaceful protests at the Capitol. Luckily, the Capitol has been on board 100%, as far as I can tell. And anyways, and then the other one I really like was the I think it was, I forget what it's called, the Oakland Damaged Black Businesses Fund. So what this is the rioting in Oakland, it went through a street that's prominently black businesses and destroyed them. This was right after the COVID thing, so a lot of those businesses were just barely hanging on, and now they don't have enough money to fix the windows. So this is a fund that's almost completed. So it's the Oakland Imaged Black Businesses Fund, I think it's called. They're almost there at completion, and it's going to be going through and fixing all the windows in this one street of black-owned businesses that was just demolished during the rioting. So the little ones like that, I think, are super important, right? Your local causes, I think, are more impactful to the sense of community that we
For
need
sure.
back. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Any last thoughts on this?
No, just hopefully, we can all come as one and create this change that's needed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important that everybody stays safe and everything like that. But stay focused. You know what I'm saying? Like carry this on into the future. Don't just let this get brushed under the rug like it does in the past sometimes. Um, for I say that, but it's there's no chance that you and I are going to fully understand the situation, right? Because we're luckily not doesn't don't have to worry about that on a day-to-day basis, but there's some of those that live this life, and so we need to continue to be their ally as much as possible and keep supporting them. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to a little bit lighter news, right? So we have Call of Duty. Well, this one actually ties right into it. Call of Duty pauses their seasons. uh where we're in the midst of Call of Duty starting up well, continuing their esports season. They pause it. This was announced on June 1st for Call of Duty Modern Warfare, for Warzone, and for COD Mobile. Uh, they were supposed to launch on June 3rd, and then mobile was supposed to launch on the 5th. Those have all been postponed without any clear dates. The statement they released is, while we all look forward to playing the new seasons of Modern Warfare, Warzone, and Call of Duty Mobile, now is not the time. Right now, it's time for those speaking up for equality, justice, and change to be seen and heard. We stand alongside you. That's Activision saying that. When Activision says something supportive, I mean, it's pretty impressive because they're usually trying to charge us for something.
Oh my God, low blows of the shade.
Yeah. So this is just one example. I mean, like we said before, PlayStation, Xbox. I forgot to get the article, but PlayStation and Xbox actually released a joint message of support for Black Lives Matter. I mean, that right there, that talk about coming together. Those two have been rivals for over for
Right,
about two
yeah.
decades now. So that was pretty cool. And then I just wanted to. I was actually going to do that during the esports desk, but I thought while we're talking about Black Lives Matter, let's go ahead and mention the Call of Duty pause. That's a good idea, right? What do you think? Should we focus on esports right now, or should we hold off a little bit?
Like, are you talking about as the companies do it, or?
Yeah, the company side.
Yeah, I think a little bit. Everyone, I don't want to say should step back, but if there's this crazy matter in America, right? So bring light to what's more important right now than this leaks.
Yeah.
Um, I don't what would I don't want to say like I don't want it to sound horrible too. It's hard to talk about, but how long would we push these things back? Um, like
Yeah,
what's our
that's
wait
something that I
time?
think we'll learn as we go.
Yeah, and it's kind of yeah, true. Learn as we go.
Yeah, we'll have to
But I think
see.
it's a okay idea right now. But I wouldn't. Yeah, that's tough. It's like I
Yeah,
don't want
I
to
think
push
the
it back
key,
too long.
right, because you have these athletes that have been training for this and stuff like that, and it's hard. Um, uh, I think the key is they don't want social media to be taken over by it. That's I think the
True.
whole point is they don't want
True.
the social
Yeah.
media part taken over by it.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Have you ever played Kingdom of Amalur?
I have not, but I know quite a bit about this for a game that I just never really had desire for.
Okay, let's start with that. What do you know about this game?
All I really know is that and what I should know too is that Todd McFarlane
Yeah,
had his hands in this game. I'm like, hold on, how come I not tried this game? Because
yeah,
of that reason. Um, but I feel like I've seen like when I know this title and I know the case for the game too. Like I super vividly know this game, but I never
yeah.
played it. So, um, it's kind of exciting that it's getting a remaster though, because now I think maybe it
Yes.
was an age thing too. Maybe I just wasn't really into what that was going to be.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm super excited now as I'm older to try out this game.
Yeah, it came out in 2012, and it was mostly not heard of at the time. It was an amazing cast, a group of people that came together to make it. And it came out of a new studio that I want to say, I don't remember the baseball player name, but there was like some baseball players like, I want to make video games now. And so he created a development studio,
Oh wow.
made this one game, and then the company went out of business. Um, what's hard is 2012, that's still Skyrim's hot, so it's kind of overshadowed by Skyrim. And
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, it's a lot like how Skyrim is, where it had like 400 hours of gameplay. You could literally just like, here's your character, here's a weapon. If you like that weapon, you can keep leveling into that weapon, and you could change it. So I had these two circular blades, and I leveled it to where the way it would work is when I threw it, it created lightning, and I just kept doing like these aerial like attacks with like lightning spinning around me and stuff like that, and these blades swirling everywhere. It was freaking awesome. but it's fully customized to how I wanted the class to be built. You can do melee, you can do range, you can do whatever you want in that game. Um, it
So
was a
you like this game? You have some praise for it, or is it just a mediocre game for you?
Oh, it's fantastic. I
Oh
was
wow.
suggesting this
Okay.
was like a go-to suggestion for me for many
Oh
years.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, I actually came across it because I went into a GameStop and I was like, you know what? It was one of those those buy two get one free used games. Like, suggest some games for me. And the guy's like, you got to play Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. And so I picked it up and yeah, man, it was one of those I sunk like 200 hours into it. Couldn't even finish the game. It was just that big.
Wow.
It felt like the size of World of Warcraft, but a single player game. And think of like in World of Warcraft if you were to do all the quests, like that kind of thing.
Is
It's
this a legit remaster, kind of like what we're getting with Mafia One, or is this just kind of like one of those? Oh, here's a HD quick version. Like
That I'm
how?
not sure about. Usually
Yeah.
when it's like the full like rebuild, they call it a remake. And when
Mm,
it's a remaster, they usually just do the graphics.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm hoping it's a full remake. And now here's the thing is it leaked because it was posted on the Microsoft Store. And I'm hoping this means that it's going to be exclusively Microsoft because, as much as I'm an Xbox fanboy, I have to admit they need to bolster their exclusives, right?
Hmm, hmm.
And I think they know that. That's why they went ahead and locked down Hellblade. Um, Yeah, I think this is a really good idea. So here's the three big names that are involved in this thing. So we have uh, R.A. Salvatore. He wrote the Dark Elf trilogy. So they actually have like a novel writer that's working on the story. That's why it's these big sprawling stories. It feels like you're reading through like these nine book fantasy series. Saying like the Wheel of Time kind of thing. The lead designer is Ken Ralston. He's the one that made Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which is my favorite of the Elder Scrolls games. And then Todd McFarlane did a lot of the design work as well. So you have these scenes where like just your character is so like a lot of the creature development where these characters that felt like larger than life with so much fine details, like that's Todd McFarlane design. You could just tell. Um it, it was just such a fun game and a world that I was like, dude, this world is like alive, and I can't believe I'm the only person in it, because at the time I was also playing World of Warcraft. So it was kind of like, how how do they make a world that's so big and not have other people in it with you? Like, it was really
Yeah.
weird in that way. And the story was really good too. You'd open up new sections, and it almost felt like a whole game in this whole section. Like, you open up countries, and you're doing the questing in this area, and it felt like this should be its own little game over here, but it's not. It's actually just part of this huge game. Really cool. So yeah, THQ's coming out with this remaster. It's coming out on August 18th. I think this is going to be a huge hit, man. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, Xbox just tells them make the next one, because it's going to be so big.
Oh, that'd be neat. That'd be neat. I'm interested in this. I definitely will check it out August 18th, and especially if they come out and say that there will be a number two to it, then I'll definitely want to play this.
Yeah. Yeah, and Todd McFarlane, I'm assuming he's going to be involved with it again. He's
Oh
been busy though
gosh.
lately. Have you seen his Kickstarter he's got going on?
No, what's the Kickstarter for?
Oh, bro, it's for a new Spawn statue. It just got funded too.
What?
It looks awesome.
Oh my
I want to
goodness.
say it's based off his original Spawn drawings or something like that. It has like
Okay.
massive boots and everything like that. It looks so dope, but
Why
it
does he
got
need
fully
a
funded.
Kickstarter for that?
I don't know. I think it was one of those things where like, if you guys want this, you're gonna have to say you want it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he was gonna. I think it was because it's kind of this older statue that
Yeah.
he was like, I'm not gonna just put it out there and then it maybe not sell. If you guys want me to actually make the statue, then it looks so gorgeous. It's Spawn.
Oh
I think he's got
god.
like 1 foot up and just total Spawn pose. He
Oh
is.
gosh. He needs to be working on his Spawn movie. Shit.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be starting the production of that pretty soon. Restarting production for
Yeah,
everything really
right.
pretty soon.
Gosh.
Next story I wanted to talk about was Take Two. So uh, Take Two is the company that put out Kerbal Space Program. Are you familiar with that game by chance?
No, the first time I've heard it is actually with you.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking, I was actually thinking like Kirby Space Program. I
Which
was like,
I'm interested in. I'm not gonna hate
I
that.
was like, I did not see a Kirby game for space.
Yeah, it's actually Kerbal, and I noticed that I spelled it Kirby in our notes, but it is Kerbal Space Program. Um, this is a game where you sit there, essentially, just a real quick rundown. You build a spaceship, and it's using like the physics that you would have to use, and you try to launch into space and everything like that. And it's about becoming spacefaring, and it's like as realistic as a game can be. Like, you literally have to worry about propulsion and all these different things that are bigger words than I know. Um, it's a pretty cool game. It has a cult following for it as well. So the sequel, when it got announced that it was in development, everybody was super excited for it. Now, they're using a developer called Star Theory Games. This happens for a lot of people. So, like, when you start up a game and maybe it says Mojang on it, but it also says this other name, it's the other name that did a lot of the work when Mojang's out putting it out or something like that. That's how that works. So, Take-Two is using Star Theory to do this. Now, they went to negotiate some more contract stuff or whatever, and it didn't go well. The negotiation soured. They both left the table. Now, at that point, generally, you just wait and you come back to it, or like, hey, let's pause on this. We're going to wait for development or the game will stop. What Take-Two did is they went and started their own development company and sent through LinkedIn, which, I mean, I didn't know people still had LinkedIn accounts. That's pretty impressive. Let me hit you up on MySpace. And they ended up going to everybody that was in the Star Theory team and offering them jobs with sign-on bonuses. So the way it would work is you'll get paid the exact same you get paid now. You'll be working on the exact same game you work on now, except for here's $10,000. And so they were just, poaching them all right. The bosses over at Star Theory, Bob Berry and Jonathan Maver, went to their employees and said, like, look, guys, we promise we'll find you a new contract. We'll get working with somebody else. Please don't leave. But these are just people who are working in a very competitive workforce right now. If you were a game developer, you were a dime a dozen, unfortunately. There's a lot of other people that, like, of course, because video games are awesome, they wanted to work on them. So they went with the new studio. This left Star Theory, crippled. And then with COVID coming across, they finally had to just shut the doors. So 3 months after the negotiations fell through, Star Theory is out of business. So I wanted to talk about this because this is very predatory of Take-Two. And it just shows how shady, these companies can be. And Take-Two's kind of a smaller company than, like, compared to Activision or EA. What are your thoughts on this? So
I think it's bad practices, but for the individual, like if it was me and I was being offered the job, of course I'm going to leave. I mean, you're giving me a
yeah,
bonus with the same exact pay. So there, for like the individual, there's no problem. But I feel like they couldn't, if you're doing this LinkedIn thing, I mean, you couldn't just advertise it out and maybe, hey, if you come, I don't know, just like not so, I don't know.
direct.
Yeah, maybe not so direct and say like, hey, we're hiring some people. A certain individual will get a sign-on bonus. I mean, because then you could
Mhm.
take maybe the talent that you want from the other company and also get other employees that might be better. You never know. But yeah, this is like a little cold-blooded, especially for the company
That's
to go out of business afterwards.
that's a good term for it. It was cold blooded. Yeah, the idea that it's so directed at the people
Yes.
who work over at Star Theory is my big problem. But I'm concerned with companies like say EA wanted to do this. We know EA likes their money. We know those microtransactions,
Hmm.
and so if they wanted to make their own development firm that, well, like say they're in negotiations with somebody else, whatever, and they were to make their own development firm and do the exact same thing, what's to say they won't just continue doing that until eventually they have all these small companies under their own umbrella, and all of a sudden indies start to kind of phase out because all of a sudden we're losing a lot of these smaller development
Hmm.
firms.
Yeah.
And then we get to that monopoly thing that kills, which we're going to talk about in the next one, which kills the innovation. um it's a tough one, and as a consumer, you have to be a responsible consumer here. You might want to think twice before you go buy that Kerbal Space Program right away, because now it was made at the cost of a development firm.
Okay. So I feel like that's the dream of indie companies to getting picked up by this huge company.
Hmm.
So I see like that difference between what you're talking about, like EA, like picking up others, but
Yeah.
to just steal employees from another company is kind of shitty. Like at least have like when we talk about the Minecraft, at least Microsoft bought Minecraft and the team. It wasn't that my that Microsoft went and stole those employees to like, hey, can you make a Minecraft type game for us in a way, right? That'd be
Exactly. Yeah,
horrible.
that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. There's better ways of doing this so that we have a healthier video game market. Because if you don't do that, eventually we're going to have five companies that run all of video gaming. One of them will be Tencent, and and uh, and then yeah, you're stuck with like, hey, this is the new Assassin's Creed. Don't ask questions.
Yeah.
Um, and we don't get new. I mean, think of like we keep bringing up Minecraft, but think about how life-changing Minecraft was for the video game industry. We had a ton of copycats. It was a whole new idea. The sandbox idea was
Yeah,
like
for sure.
totally new. And then we had a bunch of spin-offs of that, like,
Yeah.
oh, let's add home building to this one MMO and stuff like that. So next up, we have a follow-up to an article or to a story we've been following. for a few months now.
Your favorite
Uh,
topic, by the way.
it has to be, right? I'm just rooting for DC at this point. So DC Comics is now officially leaving Diamond Distributor permanently. This is after a 25-year agreement with them. Since the 90s, Diamond has had the monopoly over all comic books, where they're all big comic books, uh, where they were the sole distributor, right? And then during the COVID, we've already covered all this, but I'm just going to give you guys a quick
Mhm.
rundown. During the COVID crisis, uh, Diamond decided to use two smaller distributors just to get comics out to the comic book shops who were struggling to keep the doors open. And so they done that. And now that things are starting to fire up and Diamond's starting to get their business going again, DC's like, no, guys, we're good. So now all DC comics are going to permanently be sent through Lunar Distribution and UCS Comic Distribution. Both these companies were created because of COVID-19.
Wow.
So they're small companies that were created by, one was like an online retailer and one was a comic book shop out of New York that started these two companies.
Wow.
And I think it was Midtown Comic in New York, so it's a big one. But yeah, so these little companies now are doing everything, and then Penguin Random House, which is a big company, they're doing like the big trades and any DC books that come out. So props to DC for doing this. An article or a statement from them says after 25 years, DC and Diamond comic distributors are ending their standing relationship. Moving forward, comic book retailers can obtain their DC comics from Penguin Random House or their book and periodicals, which is the comic books, through Lunar or UCS comic book distribution. DC continues to be committed to providing the direct market with the best in class service and the fans with the world's greatest comic books. That's from a rep over to comicbook.com. So, this direct marketing thing, this is something we've seen put to the test during COVID. That's where they just ship them right to you. So they're trying to, you kind of like the way this works is a comic book shop will say like, I think we're gonna need 20 of whatever Supergirls, and then they're gonna send you the 20. It makes it kind of hard because everything's by predictions, But yeah, so DC is gonna be working with a new company, and that's fantastic. Uh, as a follow up, IDW has extended their return policy. So they had this policy where if you bought too many comic books, and they were also stuck with they were using third party guys as well. If you guys bought too many comic books, you can actually return them now, and they've been doing that for a while, but they're extending that out to July. So the comic book shops can't make mistakes with IDW. They can order as much as they want and then just return whatever doesn't work out to get their money back. It's definitely a loss for IDW. They're definitely losing money doing that, but it just shows that they care about the comic book shops more, which is really cool. They said in a statement, comic shops are the front line of the comic industry, where word of mouth, spinner racks, and staff hand selling make all the difference in a comic book's success. It's our responsible as publisher to make the process as low stress as possible for for our partners in the retail community. During a time like this, making it easier to stock our book is really the least we can do. That's from Chris Ryle. He's the IDW president. I love these stories of comic book companies stepping up and doing what's actually right. Uh, what are your thoughts on? Well, first start with DC, with them making this move to smaller distributors.
I think it's okay if it works out and the comic books become more accessible for the comic book shops. Maybe easy to attain, like the ones that they're requesting or the amount they're requesting. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. And like we talked about how Diamond Distributor had this monopoly in a way. I kind of like to see that there's this challenge now in the world of distributing comics,
Yeah.
um, and give other big comic companies uh, a couple of different options on how to get their comic out there, not just having to listen to one person. Now, that's what my favorite part, probably about this whole podcast that we're doing right now, is that the IDW and their return policy,
Yeah.
because now comic book shops don't have to feel like, oh well, I'm kind of ticked off because I thought this one would sell great, and now I have 15 issues left, and I'm just not selling them now, and whatever. And the other side of what I like about it too is that if you're a new, say me and you, we put a brand new comic book out there, and a
Mm-hmm.
comic book shop is taking the chance on us to get that comic. Now they don't have to feel so chips on you, like there's a
Yeah.
backup
All their
plan.
eggs in one basket, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
they're they could kind of take those chances on those comics because, like us, like this quote here from Chris saying that the comic book industry is like the word of mouth, and and staff hand selling making all the difference, which is true. And we always go
So
back to
true.
this one because this is what happened to me is our saga series that we read and we really
Yeah.
enjoy. It was literally from the owner just talking to me about, oh, if you want to get into something new, this is kind of cool. And
Yeah.
he explained a little bit whatever and all that as well. So there's nothing about the story that I don't like at all. I think this is awesome in every way.
Yeah, even the bigger titles too. Word of mouth is what makes the difference.
Hmm.
So for me, I really enjoy Flash comics now. I wouldn't have really thought of trying out Flash comics. I don't think without my local comic book guy saying like, "Hey man, I actually think," because I was telling him like, "I want more Superman. I really like Superman, and I really like the message and everything like that." He's like, "You got to be reading Flash then." And I did that, and I'm all on board, man. It's like Superman, but the stories are better. Yeah, so it was really good, and it was all based off. And he told me like, this is the one you want to read, then you want to read this one and this one, and that'll catch you up, and you're good to go. Is that expertise level that we need? And so if we can give them a little bit more confidence in their own business, they can spend more time, researching. And then I really liked how you were talking about with these smaller comic books, how it's such a gamble that if it's a new comic book, they're gonna definitely pick up less comics
Hmm.
and make less available. So if say they only pick up 5 comics because they're not sure. If those 5 sell, then all of a sudden that person's comic is not on the shelf, and just a comic on the shelf is advertisement. We've seen this so many times where
Yeah.
the cover is what gets you,
Oh, for sure.
and so having a little extra on the shelf is not a bad thing. That's good. And if they can return 2 or 3 of them, but they ended up selling 5 additional comics, there's more money being made all around. And these smaller guys, they get more recognition like they should. So yeah, I really like that we're starting to see something out of the comic book industry. And DC Comics, I thought they were going to be on the ropes. I thought they were going to be out and out, in the next couple of years. But there's been this resurgence of appreciation for them. And then IDW, they've been making comic books on the back burner that people haven't been paying attention to that are really good. So props to them too, and all around good move for everybody.
Yeah, and just to finally put this huge recognition on comic book shops. Well, not finally, I would say more of the recognition on comic book
Yeah,
shops, uh, because they really are. Without their promoting, I mean, what are we going to do online and read? There's nothing. Me shopping online, just exactly what you said, is that just having one comic book on the shelf is crazy marketing because I go through a comic book shop and the guy will ask me like 3 times if I need anything. Like, no, I'm just strolling and looking at every single
hmm
comic that you have on the shelf. I'm not gonna do that same thing on online. When I go
yeah,
online and buy a comic, I pretty much know what I want. Um, so to kind of put the highlight back on the comic book shops and say how much they actually do make a difference for us, I think it's awesome.
yeah, yeah. You know, just go to you guys' local comic book shops. I can't suggest it enough. We've already said it 100 times. Uh, I feel bad for the guys over in Elk Grove because they are stressing out right now.
I
They're
was gonna
just
say, how is that one doing? I know you're a big customer
they're
there.
doing well, but they've cut back their hours so dramatically that it's almost like a yard sale at this point.
Wow.
Just trying to keep the company afloat. Um, So, Elk Grove Cards and Comics, guys, if you happen to be in the area, check them out. They can really use your support. On Twitter and on Facebook, they'll post out the hours that they're open. And it's usually like 4 hours a day here and there.
Oh
They're
man.
having a hard time. Yeah, they'll stay in business, though. They will stay in business. It's just tough for them right now. So support your guys' local shop. All right. On to the next topic. We have Daredevil almost ready for Disney, man. I'm excited. I didn't even think
Yeah.
about this. Apparently there's this Instagram account that's ran by LAD Bible who it has this hashtag save Daredevil thing going, and it's kind of gotten dormant, right? Nobody's like really worried about Daredevil anymore. We're past that. They put out this thing like, "Hey guys, we're 6 months away from there being the option for Disney to work on something."
Mm.
Uh, and so at that point, Disney's allowed to use not only Daredevil but able to use the same actor and everything like that, and fully continue the show. They could put it on Disney Plus. Uh, all the Marvel series, they're actually part of the MCU. So they reference Thor
Yeah.
tearing up New York in the first Daredevil. Uh, do you want to see the series come back? Do you think Disney Plus is a good home for that?
Do I want to see the series come back? No, I'm a little drawn out from the series.
Okay.
I feel my opinion for the Netflix series are kind of like, okay, it's slow. Okay, Daredevil has his outfit. Then in the newest season, how come he's back in his old outfit? Because I don't know. To me, it's just slow. What I would
Yeah.
like to do, though, because I think Daredevil is an amazing character. I used to read a lot of his comics when I was a lot younger.
Hmm.
Is to just revamp Daredevil. I mean, do I have a thing if they were to switch the actor? Not too much, because I don't think he's a horrible actor. I think he's fine as Daredevil.
Yeah.
Um, but I wouldn't be open to. I would be open to like hear others. But I would like to see not a revamp, but just be like kind of like what they did with Spider-Man, right? Like after the Andrew Garfield, okay, we got Tom Holland. We didn't have to have a whole background story with him. I don't need to see the Spider Bit him for the 15th time now. I would
Yeah.
like to just kind of continue with it. But I want to see more than just the series. I want to see, I want to see him on the big screen. To be honest,
That's my next question for you is do you think they could, even if they use the old actor, do you think they can take this Daredevil, the story we've had already, and add him into the actual like Avengers movies?
man, I don't know if he's big enough for the big screen. Does that make sense?
No, you're right. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's such a big step up that once even if you're the lamest of if even if you're Renner, you're still going to be an Avenger, um, and so yeah, it's tough. It's a tough bill. I think if they take him, they got to take all the defenders as well because Luke Cage is too awesome to not have, and Jessica Jones too. I love Jessica Jones, but I don't know. I don't know if they're the right fit. I think they almost need to do an MCU movie that's a solo for Daredevil, and if they're going to do that, I think they have to reboot Daredevil before they actually add him in there.
Yeah, you might want to pull a name off. I don't think we're ever going to get this this Gambit movie, right? Is this kind of like a halt now? We're done talking about doing everything.
Yeah, it's
Um,
big time postponed. Yeah,
so it'd kind of be nice to. I think you would have to throw a big name out there.
do
But
you
then
have one?
again, Marvel's doing good. Marvel's doing good with the Avengers. Like, who were they really that much before Avengers? I mean, they're bigger than shit now. If I had one
Yeah.
though, would that's why I brought up the Gambit because would Channing Tatum be a bad pick? Would Jake Gyllenhaal be a bad pick? Um,
Ooh, Jake Gyllenhaal. Damn.
Sam Worthington maybe. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe Sam Worthington just because I haven't seen him in a while. I mean, Clash of the Titans, and then Avatar, Terminator. I mean, somewhat different,
Yeah.
but not too popular like Channing Tatum.
Yeah, exactly. They can't be too popular. I'd like to see Channing Tatum saved because I hope they do make that Gambit movie.
Oh God, yeah, I
Uh,
do. I do as well.
yeah. And the other one you said, oh boy, I already forgot his name. But Jake
What was it?
Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, yeah.
He's considered in the Marvel movies with his Mysterio.
Ah, true. I forgot about that. Then okay, then I'll
Yeah,
stick with Sam Worthington. I mean,
I think it's a good idea.
I don't think that'd be too bad. But anyway, I would like to see a revamp of this character that I love so much instead of it. Or if you're gonna do the series, then just do it more fast paced. I'm just so bored with these Netflix. I mean, I don't know how you feel about the overall Marvel Netflix, but I'm
Yeah,
just kind of just so over them.
I slowed down on them quite a bit.
Yeah.
They are too slow for me. I didn't end up watching any of the Iron Fists.
I actually did
Just
watch
wasn't
the
a fan.
first season of Iron Fist, and I kind of enjoyed it. I know a lot of people bash on it, and
Yeah.
they had very good reasons to bash on it, especially like the not as much fighting. I heard that quite a bit, and I was like, I think I
Mhm.
was just so into the story that didn't bother me that much. But yeah, I didn't bother with anything else after that. So
Yeah, I don't know. And with it being on Disney Plus, I think it would have to be a little bit lighter too. So I don't even know if the tone would work because I think it's too. I
you
don't know.
think
It's
they
tough.
would do that? You think that if Disney Plus is man, you think they would make light of everything?
Well, one of their big statements early on was that everything can be watched by everybody in the family on Disney Plus. You don't have to worry about
Mm,
adult only content. And I don't
huh?
think that any of the previous seasons of Daredevil is guaranteed safe for everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
So there might
Huh?
have to be an
And they
adjustment
would
there.
have to,
And I
yeah.
really like
Yeah.
the actor for Kingpin, by the way. I do want him to stay
Oh
around.
yeah, I think he's very good. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on this. We got 6 months. We'll be watching this. We're probably gonna get some like tidbits of leaks of news, of things that they're working on. The character's too important to the MCU, to
Oh
Marvel.
yeah.
He has to be involved somewhere, even if they got to bust out Ben Affleck. They will bring him back.
I was gonna say how many. Okay, so especially what you just said. How important he is to the Marvel universe. Of course, because how many comics of him cross reference with other heroes? How many times have we seen him with Spider
Oh
Man?
yeah,
That was a big one right
him
there.
exactly. Him with
Yeah.
Spider Man. Some of my favorite stories.
Oh, for
They're
sure.
just the two work so well together, and that ground level superhero thing is not used enough in the movies,
Hmm.
and it makes for, to be honest with you, the more compelling stories because they're the more relatable ones. I
Yeah.
love watching Thor in Asgard. I don't relate to it very much because I'm not very Asgardian around here. So, but with, worried about like maybe he stops these guys that are mugging, or maybe he helps with rent control, such shit like that, man. That's so
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, for
You
sure.
know, so we'll see something there. Okay, next up we have an important statue that we're working on here, guys. I've already
Important.
signed the petition. There's an Obi-Wan statue that's currently trying to be put into Scotland. They have 19,000 signatures for this so far. Ewan McGregor, he's from Scotland, and he's highly regarded amongst his people over there. To honor him, they want to put a statue on Ben Nevis, which is their highest mountain over there, and they want to do that because of the high ground reference. In Revenge of the Sith, he has the high ground.
Oh man, that's super clever, actually.
And
Okay.
then on the plaque, they wanted to say hello there because that's kind of how, you see the memes all the time of him saying hello there, and it's from when he's about to fight Grievous. And dude, I love this idea. It's such a good idea. It's such a good way to, I mean, Ian McGregor's a great actor. He has a huge filmography, but there's no doubt that he is Obi-Wan Kenobi first. And Scotland's super proud of him. This is a good way. Scotland's always been kind of whimsical in the way they do things. Their national animal, you know what the national animal of Scotland is?
No, what is it?
A fucking unicorn.
What the hell?
Yeah, we have a bald eagle. They picked a unicorn over there.
Oh my
I mean,
god! Can we change ours to a dragon?
Dude, totally right. They're crazy guys. They're just like having fun. So this is perfect for them. 19,000 signatures already. I actually think this is gonna happen. I would love this idea. Is there any other characters that you'd want to see a statue of? I'm doing this one on the fly.
Man,
now.
okay.
So we have the Batman statue. What are you thinking about it? We have the Batman statue in London looking down on the city. I think that's excellent. It should be someone who inspires hope. There's a new Janeway statue going in, I think it's Illinois. It's her actual Captain Janeway's birthplace. They're putting a statue for her there. And it's called it's going to be the future birthplace statue. They'll say this is the future birthplace of Catherine Janeway, and then it shows the year that she'll be born. Really cool, and they're putting that in one of their parks, a bronze statue. Is there any other characters that you'd want to see brought in? Those ones are all happening, by the way. Those are real.
Shit. Man, I'm trying to think of something outside of superheroes. I'm trying to think of more. Oh God, I don't want to say the generic Captain America. We need something different than that.
I wouldn't mind seeing a Captain America statue in Washington D.C.
I'm trying to be more outside the box, but because if we're talking about a statue that inspires hope or whatnot, then why not?
I mean, it really does, yeah.
Like have him stand tall, chest out, shield on his arm, like, damn.
Yeah. That would be awesome. And have him kind of like, yeah, that classic Captain America, like just totally upright, like he's the picture perfect American hope. I think that's a really good idea, man. Put him next to Abe Lincoln.
Yeah, but it needs to be bigger. No, I was kidding. That's I want this thing to be massive. But I think this Obi-Wan thing is pretty awesome because it is something that it's like light news. It's something that we so many people that love the Star Wars that could just enjoy. Like everyone could enjoy it. It I don't know. I guess it just is happy news. I don't know if there's a term for that, but it's kind of cool to see people get behind.
Light news.
Yeah, it's kind of neat to see people get behind something like this. And I mean, come on, just put smiles on his faces. If you're going to walk by an Obi-Wan statue, who's not going to be smiling at that? Or
well, that's part of the fun of this thing is it's not easy to get to. They actually have to climb up to it. That's why they wanted to make sure the hello is there, because then it's like you've climbed to our highest peak. Hello there. Obi-Wan's always there. He has the high ground.
I'm climbing on that peak then.
And that's one of the guys. If you go to change.com, you guys can sign a petition. And in the petition, they mentioned like this will be a big boost in revenue for us because they could kind of set up this like Star Wars themed thing that leads up to the statue and stuff like that. It could be nice for them. That's pretty cool. I think it's a good idea all around. I would definitely like to see some more statues like this. We could use some more fun, some more lighthearted stuff like that to distract us. It's pretty cool. All right, speaking of distractions, let's move on to our last topic.
Oh, shit.
Joe Exotic Watch. So, fucking that, Carol, she ended up gaining control of Joe Exotic. Carol fucking Baskin.
I had to say it.
Yeah. So Joe Zoo, of course, was it's the main setting for the series, and it was not a good zoo. They were breeding cubs just so they could have pictures with the cubs. It was really bad. And as much as everybody dislikes Carol, and of course, and she's now my go-to scapegoat for anything going on in my life, you have to admit that she does now have a better zoo because she actually takes in just old and needing homes tiger. You know what I'm saying? In her early days wasn't the case, but now she is. Uh, and so she's been in a court case now from 2016, which shows how deep this thing goes. And it just now got settled on. A Western District Court of Oklahoma made the ruling that uh, Carol Baskin will take Joe's zoo called the GW Exotic Animal Memorial Park in
No way.
Winewood, Oklahoma, which is actually named after his brother that died early in his life. The current owner, Jeff, who's the guy I actually hate from the show the most, he has 120 days to leave the park, and I just saw that he had threw it up on Twitter saying, "I'm gonna fucking destroy this thing before I go."
Oh
So
God.
he's gonna wreck that place. What do you think Carol's gonna do with the park now that it's open? Is she gonna
Um,
like house more or just destroy it?
no, I think she has. I mean, if you think of it as a business, man, I guess so. If you have the revenue coming in so much with what you have already, then why not? You know, why not make it another park and make your name bigger? You're actually making your name bigger where you live from, so why not? You definitely because of this TV show is making you that much more popular. So if you see the
Yeah.
influx in customers coming in and pretty much wanting to see your park slash kind of see you because they know you, they've seen you on TV, you kind of like, are we semi creating your own little Disneyland zoo in random ass Oklahoma? You know, so I mean, I could see her just expanding it. Do you think that she would just tear it down, or
I could see her tearing it down because it would be a lot to handle the other zoo. It as the main thing is if she does fire it up, it needs to be a rescue like her own.
yeah?
Um, it's really tough because anybody in this business is not 100% clean.
Mm,
Carol in her early days was just as bad as Joe. She had the bad meat and she's breeding tigers. But now she seems to be doing the right thing. And if she's going to continue her current mission, then I think, yeah, another zoo to house more tigers that need homes. Because a lot of people get these tigers because they're cute pets. It does not take long for that to be a bad decision.
yeah,
And they need a place to go. So I think it's a good call. She could be redeeming. I mean, she could be taking back the tigers that were bred in that zoo and sold to like Shaquille O'Neal and stuff like that and bringing them back.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I guess it just depends on the land and what she has now. Like the reason why I was saying like the revenue and the customers, if you see so much of a big influx, do you want to expand? If not, then you're okay with your little property. Then I mean, I guess
Yeah.
would that land be hers no matter what, though, right? Like no matter, is it just the
It's her
zoo?
land.
It's her land, so
Yeah.
damn, that's a hell of property she owns.
Yeah, it's a good chunk of land that she
Yeah,
just
so
obtained.
yeah, I guess it just depends what her current situation is, really.
It's freaking nuts, man. If you actually knew one of these two in real life, like, I mean, you just not even want to talk to him. I was watching an interview with the guys who ran the documentary, and they were saying those two are obsessed with each other. And every time he would want to talk with Carol, she'd bring up Joe, and every time he talked to Joe, he'd bring up Carol. Like
My
the
God.
feud is so deep with those two. I'm sure every day he's spitting her name out in jail. Like it's just nuts.
And he doesn't really know how popular he is right now, right? Or I mean, I guess he's been told, correct?
He's been told his current husband, which you saw at the end of the series, is kind of like his now voice on the outside, and
Hmm.
has been writing to him. And Joe just released he wrote like a paper,
Oh
and
God.
the way you read it is you actually have to read the photo of his paper that he letter or whatever they sent out. It's just crazy. This whole thing's nuts.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Oh goodness.
You think he should be
Well,
getting out? I don't bring it up.
I don't think he should
Yeah.
because not because of the murder. Well, no, I mean that's not great either. But I think the main thing he should be in there is for breeding the tigers. He clearly broke the law for that.
Yeah,
There's
it kind
no
of
denying that.
like they dug a deep hole when he got raided and they were finding tiger bones
Yeah,
in his
well,
yards.
yeah. The tricky thing with the tiger bones is 5 tigers, and he says they were euthanized tigers that were getting old or sick. And if that's the truth, then okay.
Yeah.
But if it's not the truth, which who knows?
Which there was one
Um,
where yeah, some of his employees were saying that he shot him or before or whatever. So it's kind of hard with
yeah.
what's what, you know.
Exactly. It's really hard to tell because there's the one guy that actually straight up testified against him was the one basically running the zoo for him on the day-to-day basis. So that guy you almost think has more insight on everything
Yeah.
than anybody else. You know what I'm saying? And I can't remember his name, but what a crazy ass story. It's so funny that Netflix won't let me drop this from my queue anymore. I all my like continue watching. I've already seen all of Tiger King, and on my continue watching, it's sitting there. I like watch episode 1 again. I'm like, look, I'm trying to whatever watch more Avatar. Get out of here. Or Miss Maisel right now.
Oh shoot.
But yeah. All right, guys, we will keep you updated on this Joe Exotic story every week if we have to. All right, we're moving on to the esports desk. Daniel's coming in to speak about League of Legends, and I'll be talking about cheating and doping. All right, we're over here at the esports desk with Daniel. Daniel, you got some news for us. What's going on?
All right, LCS is finally returning on June 12th with its summer split.
Okay.
And leading up to this offseason in North America, it's been filled with like surprising and controversial transactions throughout the whole roster.
Mm-hmm.
And usually we have a midsummer invitational that between spring and then summer, where all the top teams compete, EU and I think Asia.
Okay.
League.
Yeah.
Okay. But this year it was canceled due to coronavirus.
Right.
So a lot of teams were able to pick up players, try out new teammates, try to get their rosters working better together. So right now, TSM replaced Kobe with Doublelift. I don't know if you know Doublelift.
I know Doublelift, yeah.
Okay, yeah, he was with TSM. This is going to be his third time back with TSM. He'll be joining Bjergsen and Biofrost. Biofrost is his support. I'm guessing most TSM fans are super excited about this because Doublelift is a really good AD carry main. He's always been good. Not sure how the team's going to perform with him. I don't think it's going to change anything in Worlds, which they're trying to get the Worlds Cup, and they can't. They're so close. They're not actually close. I think they've only won one game in Worlds.
Do you think Doublelift's going to be the guy that pushes them over the edge?
No, they always have issues with jungling and top lane.
Yeah.
So if they could work on that, then maybe they will. But they always end up choking when it comes to Worlds. Even if they dominate NA, every NA team always chokes when it comes to Worlds.
Yeah.
But EU's really good. Yeah. So then another TSM roster change. They dropped Dardoch for Spica.
Okay.
They had replaced Dardoch on their last spring game for Spica, and Dardoch wasn't really performing well, so they just decided to cut ties with him.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not really sure about his game that he played. I didn't really care for him. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they do good this season. And another thing, Kobe, who was replaced by Doublelift, is returning to EU to join Misfits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
how does Misfits do? Are they normally pretty good? I haven't heard of them much.
Misfits, they're okay. Just EU is usually dominated by Fnatic and G2, so they're not really amazing. Okay. Kobe's a really good AD carry main, but I don't think he's gonna make them top in EU.
I'm actually kind of surprised. I mean, Doublelift is, he's well known in the TSM community and stuff like that, but I'm really surprised that they replaced Kobe with him. Like, why ruin? I don't know. To me, I think Kobe was probably going to be fine.
Well, he has a good relationship with that entire team, especially his girlfriend is the president of TSM, so that could be a possibility. The reason why he went over there, but he's always had a good relationship with Doublelift and Biofrost, and they had some scrims, and they brought back the old team on some scrims this offseason too. So that could have been leading up to it. I just don't know.
Okay, so that's all the big news. But I've been hearing some rumors about Lena. What's going on with that?
All right, Lena. I don't know if you know who she is. She is the president of TSM, and she is Doublelift's girlfriend. Right. And there's a lot of controversy with her because Doublelift was on Team Liquid for 3 years, and all of a sudden she what people are saying pretty much got him to come back to TSM, and people weren't really too happy about that on the way it happened. And a lot of fans are like calling for a job and stuff like that. And yeah, pretty much people are upset at the way it happened.
Right. She basically poached him.
Yeah, pretty much. But honestly, I don't feel like it was a big deal. It was 3 years. I'm not sure if it was because something happened with the contract or he just left early, but they had a lawyer and everything seemed normal. There's nothing found wrongdoing.
Yeah.
But there's also more controversy that happened later on that Doublelift, he was streaming at the house, and all of a sudden you could hear her phone call she was making with another person, not sure what, but pretty much she was talking shit about her own player, Dardock, and talking about how nobody wants him because they were trying to trade for him.
Yeah.
Or trade him. Yeah. And that was pretty big because all of a sudden all these people that were watching Doublelift stream heard her conversation.
Yeah.
So that was a big no-no.
Do you think that was maybe a publicity stunt on her? Because she's very good at using social media. She's kind of a genius in this field, to be honest with you. Do you think that was her kind of using social media to kind of make some attention for the team?
No, because the way, she did just say nobody wants Dardock, like that. No one wants to play with him.
Yeah.
That's kind of messed up. And I don't think she would really do that. That wouldn't be the right way to do it. And plus, she's the president of TSM. I think it was just an accident. And I honestly think he needs to stop streaming at the place. Or she needs to stop going over there.
Yeah.
Especially she's the president. People shouldn't be hearing all this. It's kind of messed up for the player, too. And
of course.
Plus, the good thing is he got signed by Dignitas, which is good.
Yeah. That conflict of interest where, you don't hear about Jerry Jones dating Dak Prescott as much as I'd be happy with him doing that. But, you don't see that in other sports. And it's kind of a weird situation that it's okay here. Do you think that, I guess it's because there isn't like an overriding boss, maybe write themselves with League of Legends. Do you think it should be allowed for them to be dating or no? Or is that something that we shouldn't even have rules on?
I don't think there should be really any rules, but that's me. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just think people are just really upset for. I think more Team Liquid fans are more upset than TSM fans. You know, so I don't think there was really any issue with it. Well, I don't think they breached the contract. There's nothing wrong. Yeah, she kind of like, hey, come over here. I'm your girlfriend, so
well, the
I don't think there's anything wrong with.
What about Kobe? He got screwed out over this because if he brought her over there just because they're dating, then Kobe, who's a good player that was working just fine for them, probably is now out. I mean, do you think that's fair?
No, it's not fair, but TSM is trying to push for Worlds. They don't care how they do it. They're pushing for Worlds. They want to win Worlds, which is not going to happen. And they always struggles for Worlds. Doublelift is not going to make a big difference, but he's still a really good AD carry. And it's not just the AD carry, it's the support. So if your support's comfortable with Doublelift, which he is, they used to be really good together. Mm-hmm. It's better to just go with that. I would have taken Doublelift over Kobe.
Okay. I mean, yeah, as long as it's like actually makes sense for the business, I guess that's what's best. Yeah, really.
But honestly, Lena, she shouldn't be making phone calls, especially when he's streaming.
For sure.
I mean, or even pretty much slandering your own employee.
Yeah, that's just bad practices. And then we've seen so many. If you guys can Google Twitch fails, they're fun to watch. It's just not a good move. Be careful. Twitch is live. I mean, there is the most live you can get. You can't take that back. Yeah. So especially when there's somebody as big as him.
She should make an office, soundproof walls. Just be in your office when you're making a phone call like that.
There you go.
And I just really don't think. I think people shouldn't really be upset with the whole Doublelift thing.
Yeah, it is what it is, really.
Yeah.
All right. Last thing I want to cover, I wanted to get your opinion on this. There was an article just released by VP Esports, Bellandriel. He's the one that just released this article, but it's reflecting on a 2018 situation. So Dota 2, it's the biggest esports out there, the biggest prize pool and everything like that, but they have a big problem with cheating. They have to constantly be pushing back on cheating. Some things are not even punished very well. So some of the cheating examples is they've had situations where people are DDoSing that like a certain team. They'll DDoS the event to try to help the team out. There's been people who purposely lose a match to help another team out, stuff like that. Been plaguing the game for a long time now. It's been around for a long time. One of the things that's just not being addressed very well, but it got caught on one of the streams, and then the fans were like, no, you need to do this, is scripting. So if you're not familiar with scripting, I know you are, but if you're listening, you're not familiar with it. It's setting up basically a series of commands like through the console of the game to where you can make them done so fast. Like think of macros. You can have them done so fast that a human can't mimic it. It would have to be something that's so quick that literally it has to be done by the computer, not by the human, which then takes away the skill, So the specific thing that was used and that the author of this article is mentioning is when Thunder Predator was in the qualifying matches for TI-8, Atun, which is his real name is Juan Ochoa, but he goes by Atun. He's using a character that has like these clones, and they're pushing mid tower, and he had them all teleport instantly to him. It's kind of think of like if you were to have like if you're dealing with the Flash, the ability Flash from League of Legends, and you're able to flash 5 people at once, and you happen to have them flash at the exact same spot instantly. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those things. It's like that's impossible. Yeah. So this was caught on the stream. Fans right away started clipping it and everything like that, and then using it as like, look, these Meepo clones, they can't teleport like this instantly without you having some sort of script in place, some sort of way of cheating. So they got disqualified and taken out of the match because of it. TI-8 had to act quick. But then Thunder Predator came out with a response saying like he did not cheat. He was actually using a Razer mouse and has Razer Synops. Now, there's all kinds of tools that Razer offers. With Razer Synops, you can create macros. And he had a macro set up for his guys to teleport to him. And so he's saying like, look, that's just part of the hardware. That's not cheating. It's just a macro made in the hardware, right? Doesn't matter. Faceit, who was running the event, and then Valve themselves also agreed, say that no, you are disqualified. We're not going to be doing this. And then the Peruvian squad moved forward and ended up taking out their place. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Is we have a situation where it's hard to relate this to physical sports. Would you consider that cheating? Let's start with that. Do you consider that cheating? He used the Razer Synops and he didn't actually create a script.
No, it's tough.
That's a tough one.
Honestly, that's tough. You'd have to look at their rules. Like, is there a rule that's in place that you can't use a macro mouse with that, like a program? Yeah. Well, because it wasn't really technically a script.
It's not a script, and generally in the rules it would say something along the lines of no automated gameplay. It's real broad to cover something that they might not have thought of. So that strict in which is usually like for like I know for like arenas and stuff like that, it's no automated gameplay. In that strict term, then the mouse is cheating.
Yeah, but
it's a really tough one. They're not interfering with. I mean, it's the base game running. It's not they're interfering with the game at all.
Yeah, that's tough. But I don't think they should have been disqualified. I think they should have done more research into it. And then like, all right, you cannot do this anymore. Nobody's allowed to reprogram their mouse. Doesn't matter if it has the capability of doing it. You cannot do it. It's just define it as a script or a cheat if you do that.
Yeah, I think
I don't.
You're right.
Go ahead.
Oh, I think you're right. I think they should use this as a learning situation, keep him going, and then say, from here on out, this is something we're adding to the list. Because Razer Synops is a very popular program. Razer mouses are very popular. So, I mean, it makes sense that a lot of people would have it. I think they have to make the adjustment.
They should have really made the adjustment. They shouldn't have gone after him like that. and disqualified them. They should have really done some more research. Make sure, check and see if he is scripting, because there's also other scripts of like dodging and stuff.
Yeah.
The way if the computer will know if abilities getting casted, and it'll have a certain way of moving. They should have done more into it, looked into it to see if he is actually cheating. So
you're right there. That's something right there where a script has its own. It feels like its own AI system going into place, because you could say if then. So if I'm getting hit by this ability, then flash, to the left 5 feet, something along those lines. But with the Razer Synops, it can't do that. It's a third-party program, so it's something that has to be inputted by the human playing. So therefore, there was a level of skill to say, I need my clones now, and bust out the clones, the Meepo clones over to me. So there is some more, it's less automated in that sense. It's more like just expanding your tools. So if you were to compare it, let's think about the mouse in other ways. I use a 12-button mouse for editing and for, World of Warcraft and what. If I were to ever lose the ability to use the 12 buttons on the side, I would play a lot less of certain games.
Yeah, definitely.
Does that mean I'm cheating?
Sure. No.
Right?
No, especially like I play League, and my macro mouse, I have two different mice. One for WoW, one for League and shooters. So my League and shooters, I have one for Flash. It makes it easier instead of hitting F. It's just awkward on the keyboard. So I use it. What they would have to really do is like, all right, you can only use these mice during League play or Dota play.
Yeah.
Which would suck for the players, because it should be whatever you feel most comfortable on, or just retweak the rules and consider that as a cheat.
Yeah, I think you'd have to do that, and then you'd really have to play it piece by piece, because that's what Razer Synops says. Maybe Corsair has something that's just a little bit different, that takes a little bit more input. Like, oh yeah, it'll teleport your clones to you, but you have to hit 1, 2, 3, 4 to like activate each clone for them to come to you. Then it's like, well, shit, that doesn't feel like it's cheating at all. It's just having them bound to keybinds, but because they're on the mouse, that makes it a lot easier to hit that 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then it does make it a faster response time. It's a real tricky one. And then you have also sponsors, because Razer sponsors some of these teams. So would Razer pull out of sponsoring Dota teams if all of a sudden they're considered a cheating tool? I mean, it would look terrible for the company.
It would. They would lose a lot of money. Yeah.
So something to think about. I just kind of wanted to bring that up, and I'm trying to think of how in physical sports that relates, but I really can't think of a situation where it's like, I can't think of how that would relate to physical sports. But in esports, it's something that we have to look, because we're constantly questioning how can esports become more mainstream. And when something like this comes up, where it's like, that would stop it. If there's a way to cheat like steroids, I guess we might be considered, like if you were to allow steroids or not allow steroids. It's kind of that situation. It's a real tricky one. I'll have to see. All right, guys, that's going to be it for our esports desk. Next, we're going back over to Squeaks, and we're going to be talking about Minecraft Dungeons. All right, I'm back with Squeaks. We are now talking about Minecraft Dungeons. We're going to be reviewing that. Squeaks, you haven't had a chance to play this game yet, correct?
I have not had a chance, because I've been super distracted with other games called Valorant. But okay, I do need to try this with you, because we talked about that this would be something that we'd play together, though.
Yeah. You really should play it, especially if you like any sort of dungeon crawlers or hack and slashes. It does a really good job with that. So I'm going to go over the 3 aspects that we normally cover with video games: visuals, gameplay, and story. First off, quick rundown of what the game is. It is a dungeon crawler where you're playing as a Minecraft character. You can pick anybody you want. Of course, I pick Steve because I'm old school like that. And you're the illagers, which if you play Minecraft, they're kind of these guys that raid you now. They were recently put in a newer patch. Their leader finds some sort of ability, whatever, to become magical, and now he's a big threat. And he's now empowered all the illagers to attack the villages. So you're defending the villages, and you're trying to take out the head wizard. So it's a simple story. That's basically it. You're just going through getting strong enough to take him out. So and you're defending villages the whole time. And there are maybe, I'm gonna guess, like 12 maps, probably at most. And then the final boss. So the game's relatively short. I think you could actually beat it in like 6 hours. I'm stuck on the very last boss because he's insane. Like up to him is very easy. Like at my gear level now, I'm blowing past the actual like level he's in, but on him exactly, he's so hard to kill. So I have a couple other guys going to be joining me, and we're going to try to get all three of us on him to try to take him out. You guys can check that out on Community Night. I think we'll do that next Friday. So yeah, visuals wise, it's beautiful. Yes, it's set in Minecraft, but it's hard to explain like how the textures look. It's almost like in reference. Well, it is this. It's in reference to Minecraft. It is not Minecraft. So even like the dirt blocks, you're like, oh yeah, that's a Minecraft dirt block, but it's super beautifully rendered. The lighting's really cool on it. It's a lot of fun, and has shifting territories. You're going through a desert. You're going through these dark forests and this bright village. As you're going, like each place feels so unique. It's really nice.
That's what I want to
Moving
ask
on.
you if I can real quick.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So each level is totally different from one another, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. And then how long would you say a level is? Because you say the game is pretty short, but do you feel satisfied with each level, or are you kind of just like, oh, that was quick?
Each level's about half an hour.
Okay.
I, I,
Okay.
I do feel satisfied with them. Yeah, to be
Okay.
honest with you.
That's yeah, actually that's not horrible. It's kind of nice to not have something that's uh 50 plus hours in a game, you know?
And it's important that you guys scale up the difficulty. I think this game definitely changes quite a bit from being too easy to being just about right when you scale it up above you. So
Okay.
you could set the difficulty of each level, try to do like one notch higher than you could handle, and then it's a lot better that way.
Hmm.
Gameplay wise, it does feel easy overall until you start scaling it up. And then at a certain point, once you find the gear combo you like, then even the highest one's kind of easy. Again, the last boss I'm stuck on, but yeah. Where the game really shines, and this is something that if you're a regular, like say, Diablo player, this is nothing new to you, but where it really shines is when you start comboing your gear and the like talent tree that each piece of gear has to these really cool things. For example, you always have a bow or a ranged weapon, and you always have your melee weapon, right? Well, I now have my bow set up to where when I shoot it, and you have 3 like active abilities that you can set up with different items. So now I have this thing where I activate my bow, and I activate this super arrow on my bow, whatever, and I can shoot it, and it does this like cyclone in front of me that's like with the arrow, if you can imagine that. And when it hits somebody, it pushes them back and does a lot of damage. I then have it set up to where every time I hit something, it drops extra spirits, which is kind of this like resource that you get from hurting people. So now they're dropping extra spirits, and then every time I pick up a spirit, now it heals me for a certain amount, and then because they're dropping extra spirits, I could constantly be activating abilities. So now I'm sitting there, and as I'm running, I'm just constantly launching arrows in every direction. That's doing these like hurricanes in all these different directions, and I'm constantly being healed to where as long as I keep attacking, I keep healing. My melee swings now will chain people to where I'm like able to go up to people and chain them, and I have these arrows like as I'm hitting the arrows, if I keep pressing the button, they actually become faster and faster and faster to where I'm chaining these things. So as you're playing the game, you can kind of create your own build that really tailors to the way you like to play. Like for me, it keeps good distance and stuff like that. And then I have this beam that's like a laser beam, like think of Cyclops, that builds up with the more spirits you collect. And because I've created the system where I can collect spirits at such an alarming rate that I can activate this beam constantly. You become the superpower weapon, which kind of feels good, right? That's why you play video games, is for that God mode. And this game does a good job with that. I really like that. Have you played like Diablo? I know you played Diablo.
Oh,
before,
for sure.
right?
Yeah, huge Diablo fan.
Okay, so you understand what I'm saying, where you kind of like create these combos with your gear.
I do. Now, what I was going to ask you, is it kind of set up like Diablo where the equipment to put on your character, or is it a little more simpler? Like, does it have stats for each equipment? Like, how does that, how does that work? Like,
The stats for the equipment are pretty simple. It's just like it gives you extra attack.
okay, so there's nothing like, kind of like Diablo where it, like, little extra, I mean, what is it? Attack, haste, stuff like that, the basic stuff, right? For
I think
equipment?
it's just basically attack and armor. Like basically that's it.
Okay,
But
okay,
each piece of gear has a little talent tree with
okay.
like 3 different. Yeah, so you have 3 different options, and you can have 3 different of these 3 different options. So you're like, well, I'll take the extra spirits dropping out of this section, but I'll take the spirits heal me out of that section, so they work together. There's a lot of synergy going on.
So does it kind
And
of sound like a more comparable to like Azerite gear and WoW, where you have different
uh,
options to pick something?
Yes, yeah, yeah. If you think of how the Azerite gear works, it does feel a little bit closer to that. You're right.
Okay.
But the synergy is closer to Diablo synergy.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but it does the selection range is the same as like the Azerite gear. But yeah. So the gameplay loop is real simple. You're just running in, you're grabbing gear. You can actually see what gear drops out of each of the zones. So you're like, you know what, I really like that bow with the multi-shot, so let me go in and get a good version of it. So you run it multiple times to where you can get that. And that's actually, I just got a bow with multi-shot, so now I'm shooting the hurricanes in 3 different directions. It's crazy.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So you can keep going and making yourself better and better. You have basically your melee weapon, your ranged weapon, and your armor can all 3 have different like talent trees. So like for example, my armor has a passive where if I get too close to people, because it's made out of skulls, so if I get too close, they're scared and they run away. Different little things like that. That just it really does synergize very well. That being said, it does have. I mean, it doesn't take long before you're like, I just can't be any better at this game. Like I'm simply too good now.
So you don't get
so
that
that's-
feeling where after you complete like a Diablo, you got these like whatever torment levels or anything. Like you just pretty much come to a ceiling.
So far, I'm at a ceiling. Once I
Okay.
finish the last boss, I think I can do all the levels again at a harder difficulty. That's the
Okay.
thing. I can't. I was really desperately trying to get that last boss down before I did this review, so I can explain that part.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, they've already announced the next patch that's going to be adding like this whole new jungle storyline. So I think we're going to get a real Sea of Thieves thing here, where they're going to be constantly putting out content.
Okay, that's awesome. That definitely will raise like people's reviews of the game for sure.
That's a big plus to me. Yeah. And then the last thing, the story is very simple to follow. And I basically explained it already, where you're sitting there saving villages from the illagers. The reason it's simple, and it explains with the gameplay as well, is this is a great game for someone who's new to this genre. Something like Diablo might be considered overwhelming for some, with your many options, with the class. Like there's no real classes in this game. You just tailor make your class how you want it to look. But yeah, if you're like a witch doctor, for example, in Diablo, that's kind of a more experienced, I would say, class because of all the pets you're managing.
Mm-hmm.
When maybe a barbarian, simple enough where you're just hack and slash and doing all kinds of cool shit. This game doesn't have that. This game is much more scaled down. A lot of fun, but scaled down.
Now, scaled down, I'm going to ask you this also. So, is it scaled down to the point where, like sometimes in Diablos you go to a different direction and it actually was the wrong direction, or you'll run into, a dead end, but hey, there might be some treasure. Does that have this here too, or does it seem a little bit more one lane straightforward?
It definitely has it still, but it also is not as severe as Diablo. It feels like with Diablo, if you go the wrong direction, like, shit, I lost some time.
Yeah.
And this one is just like, oh, I explored it, wasn't here, moving on to the next spot.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it definitely, because it's Minecraft in the name, so it has to be
True.
all ages can play it,
Yeah.
and they did a great job with that. I think for me being such a gamer, I think I can see how weak it is in that way. But if you're somebody like, my nephew or something like that, who's trying it out for the first time, he might not see that and be like, oh my God, this is great. And then from this game, I can take him on to like Path of Exiles or Diablo and show him like, okay, time to grow up. And here's the
Okay.
badass version of it, He still plays on creative mode in Minecraft though, so I don't know. And yeah, it's a fun game. My grade for this game. Okay, so like my personal experience, I'm thinking it's got to be it's probably an A-, an A. I've returned to it a few times now. I play it with the Xbox controller, which is actually my first time playing one of these games with a controller, and I think I'm going to go back and play Diablo with a controller to try that out now.
Then let me ask you that, because I played Diablo on controller because I bought it multiple times for the PS4 and Switch. Now, so you haven't tried this at all with the mouse, or have you tried a little bit?
Only with the controller, because the people I was playing with was like, oh, it's so much better with the controller. So I'm like, all right, I'll
Really?
take the word for it.
Okay, because I was going to ask you, is this like a point and click like a Diablo? But yeah. Huh.
It is point and click if you don't use the controller.
Okay.
But I think it might have been I think it might be because it's scaled down. It's so much better with the controller. Like it's just so much faster.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is that? Because it moves, or like?
Well, because you're able to you're more able to move and gun at the same time.
Okay.
And with a click, you're clicking and then moving. It feels like you're having to really divide up your movement from your, and like if you're, like with Halo or anything else, movement should be just second nature. It's something you figure out, then you put on the back burner while you're doing everything else.
Okay.
And I think with the click and moves, it's a little bit harder.
Okay.
So I'm excited to try Diablo with controller, because if it's anything like this, then I think I'm going to be a much better Diablo player than I have been in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Which would be nice. So yeah, so for this game, like I said, I'm having enough fun to give it an A, but I think realistically it has to be in the B- range.
Okay.
With the promise of future patches, we already have the jungle one, and there was another one, I can't remember what it was, but there's another one on the horizon even after that. They're going to be free patches that you can get with more story, more gear, more bosses. This is likely going to raise up, but for now we're at a B-. Totally worth getting. It is free, part of the Game Pass. So I mean, shit, you guys should be having the Game Pass already as it is. It's really good.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's it for this week. Is there anything else you want to end off the week with?
No. I think that's everything wrapped up.
Cool. On Wednesday, we have an episode with Wondersoul. We're going to be going over our top 5 retro replays. So the top 5 games you'd like to go back to and play again. And then on Friday, we have our Industry Insider. I think we'll use our Ubisoft for that one, and we'll just move everything back 1 week. So the Ubisoft Industry Insider will come out on Friday. All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining us. Everybody stay safe out there. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Thank you for joining us on the Geek Freaks podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Geek Freaks Pod. We're also on Facebook, Instagram. You can email us. We have our Patreon and a store. All those links are in the description.